What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Tree Spice. Today we're going to be finishing up kind of this Kernmantle splicing segment. I was doing some kind of coming up with my own splices or trying things that I'd heard of people doing with Kernmantle ropes just to see if I could figure out how to splice them. If you saw in the last video, we did kind of the Adrenaline technique with some Samson Mercury and some Sterling HTP. And then the other one that I was testing, which is pretty fun, is I got this awesome Yale Kernmaster pink rope, and or hot pink or whatever, and I had seen people splice this rope before, and I had heard that they used a double braid splice. So I thought I'd have it go. I did one, just basically very similar to a class 1 double braid splice, but then I was talking to Samantha, the Splice Witch, about it, and she gave me some really great instructions for how to improve this splice, because you can't do just a regular double braid splice with this rope because it is a Kernmantle rope. The strength comes from the core, so you have to be able to back splice the core far enough to be able to get that full strength from the rope, get all the way up to 95% MBS. And just in case you didn't see the break test video, we'll show those real quick so you can see what these broke at. So you'll have seen there that one of them broke at a much higher strength than the other one did. So here's the disappointment one. This one was spliced just as a regular double braid class 1 splice. I don't think I really changed anything about it. It was just basically your standard double braid splice, and this is how it broke. It didn't broke in the middle of the eye, it broke at the top of the eye. So you can see it broke at the main cover on the standing end of the rope. That's what broke. And basically that back splice piece of core didn't really break at all. It just pulled out, because in kind of the Samson instructions for a double braid splice, it says just to reinsert the core about 1/3 of a fid up from the eye, which Samantha told me that for all double braids you should go up full, not a Samson fid length, but like the longer of the two sections of the fid length, so 14 times rope diameter, back up the rope, and then since this is a Kernmantle, you should do that plus 1/3 of a fid. So in this other splice we got 8 inches of back spliced core. So because this only had 1/3 of a fid, this thing didn't even grab on at all. This is just the taper. Like, I recognize, like, I cut these, like I can see the strands that I cut. And so it just broke the cover, because the cover is not made to hold your weight. The cover is just there to protect the core. So it just busted apart the cover and just pulled the back splice out. So that's why this failed at such a low MBS. Like it was at that splice failed at 3,100 pounds. So that's only 46% of the MBS of this rope. So that does not meet the ANSI standards. It's pretty strong, but I still wouldn't feel that safe climbing on this. So with the extra Splice Witch instructions, we were able to get it to not break anywhere in the splice. It broke all the way back by the bollard on a standing piece of the rope, and for that we got basically the MBS of this rope. This rope has an MBS of 6,700 pounds, and this broke at just over 6,700 pounds. So that is what you need to do when you're splicing Kernmaster. You have to keep in mind it is a Kernmantle rope. All the strength is going to come from the core. So you can splice this. It still goes basically exactly the same as a double braid rope. The only things that you have to change are that the two things I changed is that instead of back splicing the core a third of a fid or a full fid. I did a fid and a third, so it's back here, like the core is buried all the way back to like here, solid like 8 inches. And the other thing that I did was that I was told to do was to make the eye be like 4.5 inches, and then just bury it as far as you can. Just keep burying it, get it buried. I think I got it buried. I didn't get it quite the 2 inches that she said to do, but the crossover I think happens like right here. So it came back like maybe 1.25 inches, a little over 1 inch, but that's the way to do it. Bury it further and back splice that core as far as you can. Now, these are really tedious splices, especially tapering this cover, because this once again is a double strand Kernmantle, so it has 24 braided strands in the cover, but those strands are in double, so there's technically 48 strands in this cover. She told me that when I taper it, instead of pulling out the pairs, pull out only half of the pair, so that you still have that 24 strand weave, just without the other half of the strands. So it's still a 24 strand weave, but with 24 strands instead of 48. So that makes it much more stable for when you push it back in and pull it through. Now, that part is really tedious, and the double rope part is also kind of tedious. So something I was thinking about is something else that I brake tested while I was there is, where is it? I had this sample of Beeline that I had spliced this summer, but I had never climbed on it, only because I was like, it's kind of weird to only splice the core. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Also, I dipped it in water-based polyurethane because these strands are so fuzzy, so dipping it in the water-based polyurethane makes it much more durable. The strands aren't going to get picked, it's not going to get as fuzzy. But I was like, I don't know if water-based poly, like, I'd heard people used it, but I was like, I'm dipping the rope in a chemical, you're not supposed to do that, so like, how, it's not going to affect the rope, is it? And no. This thing, we'll put the brake test here. So as you can see, this broke at a plenty high strength. What do we get here? Plenty high strength. It even beat ANSI in a straight pull. Usually prusiks are tested in basket, so this would have had a really high test if it was tested in basket. But we got 5,700 pounds just with a straight pull. So that's due to the fact that these fibers are so high-tech, these high modular fibers or whatever. And but didn't even break in any of the ice. It just broke in the middle of the rope. So it's just spliced using a double locking Brummel, and then just the rest of it is just back spliced a little way, not even that far. I think it only comes back to like here. It's hard to tell since this has been brake tested, but like the tail's not buried that far. So that being said, I mean, this is probably something, a textile that's designed to be core based. I think it gets a higher MBS with just the rope, but 5,700 pounds on just the core is plenty. And this rope is rated for 6,700 pounds. So I was thinking, could you possibly, now the way this is spliced is pretty nifty. It's a pretty cool trick, and I'll include the video in the link below of how this is done. But I was like, if I could do this, granted this is a class 2 fiber, but maybe I could pull out some of the core of this rope and do a double locking Brummel with a berry, and then dip it in poly, and then just whip, like more heavy duty whip than I would usually do, but whip the cover onto the core to keep the cover in the same place, and then have that brake tested and see how well that'll work. So instead of, I I love this rope, so I don't want to cut this rope any shorter. So I got some of the stuff from Wesper, the this rainbow, the Bifrost pattern of Kernmaster Phantom, and we're gonna see. I'm not gonna try that right away, just in case it doesn't work. So I'm just gonna tear apart one of these old samples and see if I can get it into that double locking Brummel. And then if that works, that's how I'm going to splice this, and then we're going to send that in to get tested and see how well that works. So the advantage of that is that it would just be a much faster splice. So like maybe something you could even pursue as like an industry, because this is a really tedious splice. Like I would do this for myself, but I would definitely charge a lot if you were if you were asking me to do it for you, because this was a really tedious splice to do, and I have to remember a lot of stuff, look back through my research to come up and do this again, which I probably will on that rope for myself, but it's time consuming. I know why tree companies don't really do this splice anymore. I remember seeing on I think Tree Buzz or something, that Nick Bonner said that at Tree Stuff they would do this splice, but instead of like the $30 they regularly charge you for like a hand splice, they would charge you like $45 for like this one. And I'm sure that even that was lowballing it, because it is for me, I'm not a professional splicer or anything, but it was pretty time consuming to do this Kernmaster splice. But yeah, stay tuned. We'll see if this thing works out, and if it does, then we'll brake test it and see if it's as good as this double braid style test. But yeah, the only downside I see for that locking Brummel is it's faster, but it will likely wear out quicker. So you have to dip it in water-based poly, and even then inspect it regularly to make sure that it's not wearing out. Maybe you could even come up with like one of those sleeves or something that you could put on it, but yeah, we'll see if that works and try it out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to making more videos like this. If you guys have any questions about any of these Kernmantle splices that I did, please shoot them in the comments section below, and I would be more than happy to answer them. But this concludes our first ARB session, brake testing session. So there will definitely be more in the future. Especially after these tests, I'm really curious, and I want to see how I can make my splicing game better, especially for these fun, different style of textiles. So yeah, can't wait to do that in the future. If you guys want to join me for some of that and some also other tree climbing style videos, the Valiant saddle pads and some other stuff that I'm working on, please subscribe, and yeah, just follow along. It's a fun little journey. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. What is up? Wow, I was just watching that video, or editing it. I was pretty tired. I can tell that was the last one I recorded that day. But you know, I get too excited. I got this stuff lying around. I can't not touch it until I'm done editing the videos. So I had already spliced these before I was done editing that. Or actually even started. I just started today. These were done a couple days ago. Oh, I get too excited. So this splice did work out really well. It's a pretty beefy fella, and I just wanted to show you a quick little preview of what it looks like. They turned out pretty cool. I'll do a close-up here real quick, but I will probably send these both in to get brake tested. This Bifrost one is the only one that is in a 10-foot length to get brake tested, and the eye in general is just a lot cleaner. It looks like a lot nicer finished product. To secure the cover, there's 2 whip locks, the Samson style and then the Yale style, and the only reason I did 2, and I'm hoping what happens is it'll just be like a 16 strand or double braid splice, where as soon as I start loading this with a hitch cord or something, it'll just clamp down, Chinese finger trap the cover onto the core and keep it in place, even though the cover's not integrated in the splice at all. But yeah, that's why I have this shorter sample, because you can see there's the old brake test, so I gotta get rid of all that crap. And then, yeah, get rid of all that stuff, so that the reason I have this sample is I just want to put on, just to see how good this whip locking is, I'm just going to put a prusik on here and then pull and have it brake tested with the prusik just to see if the prusik generates enough force to strip the cover off of the core, to see if this whip locking is enough, or if you need to do something like the Teufelberger splice method with their sewn whipping to get it to hold into place. But yeah, super excited. Stay tuned. Please like and subscribe to see these videos in the future and get to see the brake test for these baddies. Stay updated. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.